Right now, Joey Lucci, lead college football analyst, PhilSteele.com. Joey, I hope you're doing well, man. Welcome to Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Man, it is always great to start my season off with you, Ryan. And being at the greatest opening weekend of college football ever, man, right now, it is absolutely I'm just on cloud nine right now, as I know you are, and with college football here, always good. Thanks for having me on.
I came out on Monday, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to pace myself a little bit. I tried, okay? I mean, I came out like WWE on Monday. I mean, I was going crazy.
You're coming off the top rope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like
I did one better. I grabbed the ladders. I jumped off the ladders.
I mean, for us that love college football as much as we do, and then last night, I mean, tonight more games, but last night the Tennessee Appalachian State. That's why we love the game of college football, for us to sit on the edge of our seat and pull for the underdog. I'm sure many people will be pulling for USC. But let me go back and get your thoughts. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that game, but Appalachian State and Tennessee, they gave them all they wanted.
Yeah, it was. And for a while there, I was like, oh, man. But you know what? The thing about Tennessee, the expectations are high. I mean, they're just up there. And maybe that caught up to them a little bit. They came in the AP pool number 9. You're playing an Appalachian State team. And, the Mountaineers, this is that same team that beat Michigan. You remember from a few years back, well, more than a few, but they're no slouch there in the Sun Belt. But still, Tennessee probably should have took care of business. But in the end, Ryan, they're 1-0, right? They're 1-0 because this weekend there will be some upsets, and there will be teams that are supposed to win that will lose, and will be like, hey, we wish we were Tennessee. We wish we were 1-0. Now, I think that's a good thing for Tennessee, because I'll look at it as, man, we need to refocus, because we need to come out there and play, not believe all the hype, but we got to do it on the field. And I think that actually it will be a bad game, but will turn into a good thing.
Wow. Okay. So Joey Lucci right now talking with us, talking about last night's performance. I'm just curious, before we get to Saturday's game, and we've got games from last night all the way through Monday, does anything grab your attention tonight? I mean, whether it would be Colorado State, Colorado, Kansas State, Stanford, Toledo, Arkansas State, Ball State from Muncie, Indiana, going up against Georgia State, Army Temple. Anything grab your attention there?
Well, each game usually grabs my attention here or there. That's just how I am. You know that, Brian.
But, I do.
I'll tell you what. I'll stay down in your country. A Georgia State team, a team that just started a football program last year. This is a team that was 2-6. They won their last 4 games to get to a bowl. They played a San Jose State team that went 5-7 that got to a bowl because of they didn't have enough eligible teams and they had the academics. They got the privilege of having those bowl practices. So I kind of like that when I see these young programs building like that and doing that. So that game's got me intriguing. They play a Ball State team that's got a brand new head coach, and I love the rivalry games. So Colorado State and Colorado playing in Denver always intrigues me. And for the longest time, the Rams have beat up on the Buffaloes, and now Colorado looks to have a better veteran team, and they're the Pac-12 team, and we're not going to let a Mountain West team beat us. So I think each game takes its turn. And look at Kansas State playing Stanford. This is a Stanford team that lost to Northwestern the first game last year, and they had a great season. And now you play Bill Snyder, and they're the ultimate team that can pull upsets. Nobody knows anything about this Kansas State team, and if they beat Stanford and Christian McCaffrey, you will. So, like I said, I can go on and on, but a lot of these games, most of them, all of them, intrigue me in some way.
Listen, I know you know college football. When you start talking about Georgia State and Ball State from Muncie, I mean those are. Hey, listen, I get it. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into the college football program. Oklahoma and Houston. This game right now, Oklahoma's the favorite, but any chance this team down in Houston can make a statement this early in the season?
Absolutely, they have a chance. You got Greg Ward Jr. up there. You got Herman as the head coach. Remember, he was the OC at Ohio State when they won the national championship, and they were one game away. They lost to Connecticut, and that's when they weren't healthy, especially at the quarterback position. So they do have a chance to pull the upset. And don't tell me the playoffs don't start in week 1, because this is a playoff game for Houston. They have any chance of breaking into the 4 teams, they have to beat Oklahoma. I don't think it gets done. I love this Oklahoma team. I think they even separated themselves a little bit more from the pack in the Big 12, or the Big 12 when Baylor went through all that. And you're talking about Baker Mayfield. You're talking about a strong running game, always a great defense. The only thing knock on them is every time Oklahoma is projected to be up there in the AP pool and projected, they always falter. But I don't think it's this year. I really think that Oklahoma comes in, has a heck of a year, and Baker Mayfield is right up there with the Heisman candidates. Unfortunately for Houston, I think this might be their only loss of the season. And for Oklahoma, if they beat Houston, trust me, they want them to win every single game the rest of the way, because that'll help them out come the end of the year. Because remember, the Big 12, they don't have any championship games.
You know, when you look at this game, there's more than just this game at stake, because Houston can talk about playing with the big boys of college football, and I know they've done that, but if they find a way to beat Oklahoma, it might get enough attention where they'll get that invitation to the Big 12 and be a part of the expansion if the Big 12 chooses to expand like they've talked about all season.
Oh, absolutely. And let's just say, for instance, like I said, I'm not calling for it. We think that Oklahoma beats them. Let's say that they do. When you start looking at their schedule, you can't look ahead, but, they've got an FCS foe next, so there won't be a letdown there. And it's a very manageable schedule there in the American Athletic Conference. And how do you tell a 13-0 Houston team, okay, that beat Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's going to have a successful year regardless of what happens this weekend, that you can't play in the playoffs if everything fell there. So it is going to be interesting.
As we move forward right now, we're featuring Joey Lucci, as we do each and every Friday during college football season. He's lead SEC college football analyst, philsteele.com, the Phil Steele publication. That's my reference guide each day. Makes me look a lot smarter there. philsteele.com is the website, the magazine. I know that many of you have purchased it. As we travel out throughout some of these big games, I want to move to UCLA and Texas A&M. SEC needs a little bit of a statement game. Texas A&M, Kevin Sumlin against UCLA, that's ranked in the top 20 at number 16. According to the experts in the desert, Texas A&M is the favorite in this game by 3 points.
Yeah, and I think Texas A&M needs to win this game, just with Kevin Sumlin, for what's going on there with A&M and everything is there. And then you look at UCLA, and everybody wants to see Josh Rosen. It's going to be a different game kind of on the road for UCLA. But I'll tell you what, this is a very talented Bruin team, even on the road. I think UCLA wins this game. I think Josh Rosen has a heck of a game, and I think this puts a lot of heat on Kevin Sumlin over there at Texas A&M, because you open up with a loss at Kyle Field to UCLA, a good Pac-12 school. It's going to be interesting, and I think this is one of those things that people will start to scratch their heads and start going, okay, is Sumlin here for A&M, and is this a good fit? But watch out for Josh Rosen and UCLA. I'm going to say an upset on the road, so to speak.
LSU, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field hosting a college football game.
Oh, it's amazing. I think the storyline of this, as everybody's got to realize, is LSU defensive coordinator Aranda was the DC for Wisconsin for 3 years, and he knows this Badgers personnel. And I think when you look at LSU as a team, okay, they have to just get decent quarterback play, okay, out of Brandon Harris, because we all know about Leonard Fournette. They've got great receivers in Durrell and Dupree. They've got a stacked offensive line. The defense is absolutely solid there. So if he can give you that little bit, which I think he will, open it up a little bit more. And we talked about this, Ryan. Remember we were talking about Leonard Fournette? I think we were talking about this in June. And we said one of the things that I think LSU does this year is not work them as much when they're, blowing some teams out or doing that. I think this would be a rather easy win in Lambeau Field against the Wisconsin team that I feel is going to be a step down. I think LSU makes a big statement this weekend.
I go to another game that grabs my attention in the SEC, UNC and Georgia. UNC and Georgia, Kirby Smart, we know a lot about him, 18 against 22. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, this one's like right round, evenly matched and stuff like that. How much are the running backs of Georgia healthy, with Chubb back and everything like that? Yeah, they said he is, but I want to see him in there. And then Michelle over there, too, we know that he's going to be injured as well. But, when you look at Georgia, I know that Lambert is now the starter there, so you got a veteran guy coming in there as a senior playing there. But Larry Fedora has done so much with this North Carolina team. And remember, this was the team that North Carolina, the knock was, they played 2 FCS schools, the ACC. They didn't really have the schedule. Remember, for a while, they were undefeated, and everybody was kind of ignoring them a little bit. North Carolina can come and make a huge statement here, but I think in the end, this game is in Atlanta, the neutral site. I think Georgia comes out, and I think Chubb will be just fine, and I like Lambert at the starter at quarterback, and I think they have the better defense of the two teams.
Joey, we'd have to talk for 1 hour if we're going to go through every single game.
Yeah, we would.
And so I'm not going to drag you through 1 hour, but let me go to a couple of games within the state. Auburn and Clemson. Auburn coming off of the 6-6 regular season play. So we like to do that in Tuscaloosa. Okay, I know they were 7-6, but we like to mention 6-6 in regular play and 2-6 in conference play. But right now, this line it confuses me. Okay, because I would bet the farm that Clemson is going to beat Auburn, but this point spread sort of scares me a little bit. What do the experts know in the desert about this game?
Then I think Auburn's going to be a lot better this year. I mean, Sean White now is the quarterback. Now, we all thought at Phil Steele Publications, Phil and I were talking that John Franklin would get the job, but Sean White's got the job, the sophomore there. So, the defensive side of Auburn is going to be much improved. And, you're looking at a team that, had some losses last year that probably should have been wins. They had the 4 overtime loss to Arkansas, and they played Mississippi tough, and they lost to Georgia by 7, and Mississippi State by a score. So you turn some of those games around to better season last year than expected. And then, you look on the other end with Clemson. We all know Clemson. We know what they did last year. And I'll tell you this, Clemson has the best player in all of college football, and that's Deshaun Watson. Okay, and that's not disrespect to any other players out there. He is the best. And what I mean by that is if you take Deshaun Watson off Clemson, they have more of a drop-off than any other player in college football for any team. I know it's a team sport, but that's how valuable that he is. But, don't discount Auburn. I'm telling you, you're looking at this and you're kind of going, well, Clemson should go in there. They should roll them. They get this game at home for Auburn. They're going to be much better. Sean White's back under center. I'm telling you, Ryan, if they do pull the upset, let's just say this, Phil Steele Publications, I was talking to Phil, I was sitting there, we won't be surprised at that. That's what I have to say about that game.
That'll get the Tuscaloosa people fired up. That's why that line is so close. I mean, it's a confusing line when you look at a 7-6 football team, and then you look at...
Well, that's what everybody perceives when they look at it, what they did last year. Like the first games, okay, when you're talking lines, you're looking at quarterbacks, you're looking at wide receivers, running backs, and then you're just looking at, okay, what did they do last year? And the taste is, well, Clemson, they played the national championship game. Deshaun Watson ran through Alabama's defense. And how about this one? Auburn finished 6-6 playing in the Birmingham Bowl. That's kind of where it is. It's amazing that when you start looking at things like that. But I'm telling you, don't discredit Auburn this year. They're going to be a much improved team.
All right, Joey. I got to ask you a generic question about lines here for a couple of minutes. Before we move to Alabama and USC, I was watching this Vegas line open up at about a 9-point. It was 10 points, I think, on Sunday. According to the experts right now in the desert, we've got about a 12.5-point spread on a couple of different places, but it's 12 across the board. There's still a few places hanging on at 11.5. What does it take to really move a point spread that much in just a few days?
A lot of public leaning towards one side, and that's what it is. I mean, in the general rule is anybody that does this, they want to take the even amount from both sides, and I think you know what I'm talking about because someone's going to win. That's all they want to do. So if they start seeing a flux of, your hard-earned green going on one side, they're going to adjust it to the other side, and that's kind of what it's all about. Sometimes they'll just let Joe Public, so to speak, decide that factor. And, Joe Public usually overreacts to a lot of things, and that changes a lot of things, and somebody's going to go home happy, someone's going to go home not so happy.
USC, Alabama. Give me the breakdown. What do you think?
Oh, man. First off, what a game to open up the college football season. I love it. When I look at this game, I start looking at the quarterbacks first, and I see that, the whole controversy, Bateman, Barnett, Barnett's never played, 71 passes combined. And then, but Max Brown, you're talking about a guy that doesn't have a lot of action under there. Cody Kessler came back for his senior year because he wanted to prove something. And then, I look at the front seven against the O-line of USC, who's got 5 starters back, by the way. Now, their left tackle banged up a little bit, but the front seven of Alabama with Jonathan Allen, Tim Williams especially up there doing some things. And then I break down the wide receivers against the secondary. Now, Juju Smith is a phenomenal wide receiver for USC. This guy that had almost 1,500 yards receiving last year. But guess what? I think Bama's season was extra special when guys like safety Eddie Jackson, Fitzpatrick, Humphrey, these guys all decided, and Jonathan Allen, that they weren't going to go pro. They're going to stay because you know darn well these guys would be playing in the NFL right now if they wanted to. And I think that was a huge step. And I like the secondary on the receivers. My key is going to be that running game. Scarborough, Harris, 9-0, 261 combined yards. Someone's got to come over there and take the Derrick Henry. But I think they can control that line of scrimmage. And one thing that has me intrigued is the special teams. We never talk about it, but when you're looking at a lot of talent on one side versus a lot of talent on the other side, I think Bama's got a huge special teams edge. Plus, I look at Calvin Ridley and tight end O.J. Howard. I know we're going to be talking about him. He's going to have a type of a season if you from the tight end spot. And being on the John Mackey Award Committee, I absolutely love this guy. Bring him up all the time. Now, something's got to give. Alabama 17 straight opening wins. USC 14 straight. I love the ties in this game. Lane Kiffin, of course, going the USC ties. Remember, Neil Callaway, USC's old O-line coach, the former UAB head coach, he played for Paul Bear Bryant, so a lot of things like that. I'm telling you, Bama won twice last year at Arlington here at AT&T Stadium, controlling the line of scrimmage and the special teams edge and that secondary over their wide receivers is why I love Bama. I think in the end, it's too much defense for Bama. I don't care who trots out there at quarterback. Alabama wins this game rather handily. Alabama 38, USC 21.
Woo! Wow. Okay. I mean, for all of us that have been nervous this week, Joey stepping in and going 38-21. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and say this, Joey. If 38 points is scored by Alabama's offense, go ahead and book us in that Final Four. I'll see you in Tampa because this defense is elite. If they can find a way to get some offense, it's going to be a lot of fun. Joey, I've got about 1 minute, 30 seconds here. Lucci Locks, let's hear it.
Well, I got 2 of them. I know we were talking about 3, but I'm going to go with 2, guys. And the first one we already kind of dissected, LSU minus the 11. And I know you're having that contest, Ryan, so yeah, you guys can steal that out of the SEC.
All right, there's
I
a free
love
one.
The way LSU. There's a free one there. All they have to do is get adequate quarterback play. I think they will. And I think LSU rolls Wisconsin, lay the 11 there. And another one, I'm going to go in my neck of the woods, up here in the MAC, Big Ten country. I'm going to take Western Michigan plus the 5. We talk all college football teams here. Western Michigan, 9 times the last 5 years, they've gone to a Big Ten foe. They're traveling to Northwestern. And Northwestern, 10-3 last year. This is one of those things where you look at and say, they're going to have a little bit of a step down this year. You're looking too much in the last year. I like Western Michigan with P.J. Fleck at head coach in that offense to stay with Northwestern, take the 5. So your Lucci lock, how about LSU minus 11 and Western Michigan plus the 5?
And he loves Alabama to beat USC 38-21. Joey Lucci, have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the rest of Friday. We'll talk to you next Friday, man. Thanks again, man. You help us out a ton. We greatly appreciate it, man. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy the weekend, Ryan.